On Monday, December the 2nd, the City of Côte Saint-Luc will be holding a rally for religious freedom happening at 6 o'clock outside of our City Hall. We will be joined by local religious leaders who will light the Christmas tree and light the menorah in front of City Hall in order to demonstrate that, contrary to the PQ's proposed Bill 60, the City of Côte Saint-Luc believes that it can both be secular and still support all religions and religious freedom for all communities. There's a lot of things that are wrong with the PQ's proposed Bill 60. Starting with, there's no real problem about religion in this province. The PQ, for its own electoral purposes, is proposing to solve a problem that doesn't exist. I have yet to hear any complaint from anyone about being served by a civil servant that was wearing a kippah, a cross, a turban, a hijab, and trying to influence the person with their religion. This is a problem that has never happened in Quebec, and the PQ is using it to fan the flames of intolerance. It's unacceptable. The message that is being sent to the rest of Canada, to the United States, and the rest of the world is that Quebec is an intolerant place, as opposed to a place where all religions and all peoples live freely and equally. It's something that also is telling people who are against religions that they can come out and speak about their hatred for others. Previously, people were able to walk through the streets of Montreal unmolested, wearing religious symbols. Since the PQ came out with its proposal for a charter of secular values, many incidents have occurred where people feel free now to shout messages of hate to people wearing religious symbols. This is also disconcerting and unacceptable. In terms of the charter itself, the proposed charter intrudes on fundamental religious freedoms granted in the Canadian Charter of Rights and the Quebec Charter of Rights. Indeed, it even violates some of Canada's international treaties that Canada has signed. Furthermore, the PQ is proposing to limit our rights by amending the Quebec Charter of Rights to not only have all rights interpreted in virtue of Quebec being a secular society, but also, mysteriously, in virtue of Quebec being a primarily French society. So in addition to attempting to erode religious freedoms, the PQ is also attempting to erode linguistic freedoms for its linguistic minority. Then you get to the proposals of the Charter, and you find things that range from the absurd to the sublime. The PQ is perfectly fine with me serving vegetarian meals at a daycare center, provided that my purpose is either the health of my students or vegetarianism as a principle. But if I serve that same vegetarian meal because I want to serve a kosher meal or a halal meal to the students and explain to them that in line with their religious principles, this is what I am doing, I am thus violating the Charter. Crazy. Then it's telling a city like the City of Côte Saint-Luc that we are unable to allow our civil servants to continue to wear a cross, a kippah, a turban, a hijab, and that if they continue to do so, their employment agreements are modified to say they can't, and we have to discipline them and eventually fire them from their positions where they may well have served us for years and years and years. Moreover, this act is not even limited to stopping people from dressing as they want if they work for the civil service. This act goes so far as to say that private businesses that contract with the public service, meaning if you have a contract with a city, the provincial government, a hospital, a school, or any other organization that is called a public body, and you want to keep doing business with that public body, you may well be required in your own private business to require your employees to dress without religious symbols. This is absurd. In my view, you should be judging people based on their intelligence, based on how well they do their job, not on what they wear. This is an absurd, absurd law. It deserves to be defeated. It makes me embarrassed to be a Quebecer, to have our provincial government propose such a law. I know it's made many people here in Quebec feel unwelcome, and we will not allow this law to be adopted without a huge fight. So Côte Saint-Luc, along with all the other municipalities on the Montreal Island, has stated that we don't agree with this proposal. We're having the rally on December the 2nd. We will join other municipalities in presenting a brief before the National Assembly on the hearings for this bill. And we will continue to do everything we can to make sure this odious piece of legislation, this ridiculous attack on fundamental religious freedoms and linguistic freedoms, is defeated where it deserves to be.